Ladies and gentlemen, today, I want to speak to your heart, your destiny, and your future. I want to shake the fear out of your soul and fill you with confidence, because I came here to tell you, don't fear. God knows what's next for you. Fear is the enemy of faith. Fear paralyzes you, but faith moves you. Fear blinds you, but faith opens your eyes. Fear is a prison, but faith is the key that unlocks the door to your future. You are not lost, and you are not forgotten. God knows what's next for you. Fear is a thief. Fear is a thief. It sneaks into your life without knocking, whispering doubts that make you second guess your potential. It makes you believe that you are not enough, that you don't have what it takes, that someone else is more qualified, more talented, more deserving. But fear is a liar. It is the voice that tells you to stay in the boat when you were meant to walk on water. It convinces you to settle in mediocrity when greatness is calling your name. Think about a child learning to walk. The first step is shaky, uncertain, filled with the risk of falling. But what if that child never took the step? What if fear convinced that child, you might fall, so don't try? That child would never experience the joy of running, the freedom of movement, the thrill of adventure. Fear does the same thing to adults. It paralyzes them before they even try. It keeps you in a job you hate, in a place that limits you, in a relationship that no longer serves your growth. And all because of one simple thought. What if I fail? But what if you don't? What if instead of failure, you discover success? What if instead of loss, you find gain? What if instead of falling, you learn to fly? The enemy of your future is not your lack of resources, not your circumstances, not your past. It is your fear of stepping into the unknown. But the unknown is not unknown to God. You may not see the full picture, but that doesn't mean the picture doesn't exist. If you were driving in thick fog and could only see 10 feet ahead, does that mean the rest of the road isn't there? No. It simply means you must keep moving forward, trusting that the path will reveal itself step by step. Life is the same way. God doesn't give you the full blueprint because He wants you to trust Him, not the plan. He wants you to walk by faith, not by sight. Think about an architect designing a skyscraper. The construction workers don't need to know every detail of the blueprint. They just need to trust the architect and build according to his design. If they stop halfway and say, we don't know how the final floor will look, so we won't continue, the building will never be completed. That's what many people do with their destiny. They stop because they can't see the end, not realizing that the architect of their life already has the plan fully laid out. Fear makes you settle for less than what was meant for you. How many people stay in jobs they despise, in places that drain them, in situations that no longer align with their purpose, just because they are afraid of stepping into the unknown? Imagine someone stranded in a desert, thirsty and exhausted. They see a well in the distance, but are too afraid to walk toward it because they don't know if it's real. So they stay in their suffering, trapped by their own doubt. That's what fear does. It convinces you to stay in discomfort just because it's familiar. But comfort zones are not meant to be lived in. They are meant to be launch pads to greater heights. Faith is the currency of the future. You don't buy your next season with money. You buy it with faith. When you invest faith into your dreams, into your calling, into the vision God placed in your heart, doors begin to open that no one can shut. Faith says, even when I don't see it, I believe it. Faith says, even when it doesn't make sense, I trust it. A farmer does not plant seeds today and expect a harvest tomorrow. He knows there is a process, a season of waiting, but he never doubts that his harvest will come. He waters the soil, he nurtures the seed, he stays patient because he knows that growth is happening even when he can't see it. The enemy of your progress is distraction. And fear is the greatest distraction. It makes you focus on problems instead of possibilities. It keeps you busy worrying instead of working. It convinces you to analyze instead of act. But let me tell you something. The enemy doesn't have to stop you completely. He just needs to slow you down enough that you miss your season. How many opportunities have people missed because they hesitated, because they second-guessed themselves, because they let fear have the final say? And then, when doors close, we think it's rejection. But listen carefully. Closed doors are not dead ends. They are divine redirections. When a door closes, it's not because you were unworthy. It's because that door was too small for the destiny God has for you. You are thinking about a job when God is thinking about a career. You are thinking about one opportunity when God is thinking about a lifetime of impact. You are thinking about a person who walked away when God is thinking about the people He is about to bring into your life. Stop mourning over what was and start preparing for what's next. The problem is, many of us mistake waiting for being stuck. But there is a difference. A plane on the runway is not stuck. It is simply preparing for takeoff. A seed in the ground is not stuck. It is simply undergoing transformation. A student in the classroom is not stuck. They are simply being equipped for their next level. Waiting is not wasting. It is in the waiting season that character is built, strength is developed, and preparation takes place. God will never take you where your character cannot keep you. And that's why He sometimes allows the process to take longer than you expect. If you receive a blessing too soon, you won't know how to handle it. If you step into greatness before you're ready, it will crush you instead of elevate you. That's why you must trust the timing. And let me tell you this, your future is too big to fit into your past. Stop looking back. The rearview mirror is small for a reason. Because where you've been is not as important as where you are going. Some people keep replaying past mistakes, past hurts, past failures, as if that defines them. But your past is just a chapter. It is not the whole book. The best pages of your life have not even been written yet. What you are walking into is greater than what you are leaving behind. You are not losing, you are gaining. You are not being set back, you are being set up. You are not forgotten, you are being positioned. The key is to move forward, even when you don't have all the answers. Because God's plan is bigger than your plan. His ways are higher than your ways. And His vision for your life is beyond what you can comprehend. So take the next step. Even if it's small, even if it's uncertain, even if you don't have all the details. Because the future does not belong to the fearful. It belongs to the bold, the courageous, the ones who choose faith over fear. The unknown is not a mystery to God. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but that doesn't mean the future is uncertain. Just because you can't see the whole staircase doesn't mean there isn't one. The unknown is not a mystery to God. It may feel like you're walking into the fog, like you're stepping into something unpredictable, but to God, your future is as clear as the noonday sun. He already stands in your tomorrow, making the crooked places straight, preparing doors you haven't even knocked on yet, and aligning opportunities you don't even know exist. Think about GPS. When you type in a destination, it doesn't show you every turn at once. It just tells you the next step. And if you miss that turn, it recalculates and reroutes you. That's exactly how life works. You may not see the full picture, but you're not lost. God is leading you step by step. And even if you take a wrong turn, He already has a new route planned to bring you back on course. The only thing that can stop you from reaching your destination is if you refuse to move. People fear the unknown because they equate uncertainty with danger. But uncertainty does not mean something bad will happen. It simply means you don't know what will happen. And just because you don't know doesn't mean it's not good. A surprise gift is unknown to you until you open it. A beautiful opportunity is unknown to you until it appears. A blessing is unknown to you until it arrives. But just because you don't see it yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. Look at a seed planted in the ground. When it is buried in darkness, it does not panic. It does not resist the soil. It does not fear the process. It simply trusts that in time it will break through the surface and become what it was meant to be. That seed is not afraid of the unknown. It embraces it. Because within the unknown lies transformation. Within the unseen lies potential. Within the waiting lies the greatest miracles. Some people let fear of the unknown paralyze them. They refuse to take risks, refuse to step out, refuse to embrace change. And because of that, they miss out on the very things they've been praying for. Imagine a person standing on the edge of a swimming pool, afraid to jump in. They stand there, hesitating, overthinking, analyzing every possible scenario. What if it's too cold? What if I can't swim well? What if it's deeper than I thought? And all the while, other people are diving in, enjoying the water, laughing, and having the time of their lives. What's holding them back? The unknown. But the moment they finally jump, they realize it wasn't as scary as they thought. The fear was only in their mind. How many of us are standing at the edge of our dreams, afraid to jump? How many of us are letting the unknown stop us from experiencing the joy, the success, the fulfillment that is waiting for us on the other side? A child does not fear the unknown the way adults do. When a baby is learning to walk, they don't stop to question whether they will fall. They don't analyze every step before taking it. They simply trust that they were made to walk, and they keep trying until they succeed. It is only as we grow older that we start doubting ourselves, questioning our abilities, and allowing fear to dictate our decisions. But if you can trust the process as a child does, you will see that every uncertain step is leading you toward a breakthrough. There are moments in life where you will feel like you are walking in the dark, where nothing makes sense, where you don't know what's next. But just because you don't have all the answers doesn't mean you are lost. When you enter a tunnel while driving, you don't stop because it's dark. You keep going because you know there is light on the other side. The unknown is not a dead end. It's a passageway to your destiny. Fear makes you believe that if you don't see the whole path, you will fail. But faith says, even if I don't see it, I will walk anyway. Faith understands that God has already been where you are going. He has already written your story. He has already aligned your breakthroughs, your blessings, your opportunities. Nothing in your life is random. Every delay, every closed door, every unexpected turn is part of a bigger plan that you can't see yet. A blind person walking with a guide does not fear what's ahead because they trust the one leading them. They don't need to see. They just need to hold on. And that is exactly what you must do in uncertain seasons of life. You don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to control every outcome. You just have to trust that the one leading you will never let you fall. Have you ever seen a movie where the main character is in trouble, but the audience already knows help is on the way? That's how your life looks to God. You may feel stuck. You may feel like nothing is happening. But God sees the bigger picture. He already knows that the right person is about to walk into your life. He already knows that the opportunity is on its way. He already knows that the struggle you're facing is only temporary. You may be crying now, but joy is already scheduled. You may feel lost now, but direction is already set in motion. You may feel afraid now, but courage is waiting for you on the other side of your next step. If you knew what was ahead, you would stop worrying. If you could see what God has planned for you, you would stop hesitating. But that's the beauty of faith. You don't need to see it to believe it. You don't need proof to move forward. You just need to trust that the one who created the stars, the one who designed the universe, the one who has never made a mistake, is also in control of your future. So, step out, take the risk, move forward even when you don't have all the details. Because the unknown is not unknown to God. And if He already knows what's ahead, why should you be afraid? Fear makes you settle for less. Fear will convince you that where you are is good enough, even when everything inside you is screaming that you were made for more. It will tell you, don't take the risk. What if you fail? What if you lose everything? And so people settle, not because they are incapable of greatness, but because they have allowed fear to shrink their vision. Think about a bird in a cage. It has wings. It was created to fly. It has the ability to soar high above the ground, to explore the skies, to live in freedom. But if you leave that bird in a cage long enough, even with the door open, it won't fly out. Why? Because the cage has become familiar. The cage feels safe. The cage is predictable. But just because something feels comfortable doesn't mean it's where you belong. Some of you have outgrown the places you've been staying in, but fear has convinced you to settle there. Fear makes you trade your destiny for convenience. It tells you, at least you're secure. At least you have something. Why risk it? But look at the greatest people in history. None of them settled. They refused to stay in places they had outgrown. They refused to let fear dictate their future. They refused to let the fear of the unknown hold them back. Think about a fish in a small bowl. If you keep a fish in a tiny tank, it will only grow to the size of its environment. But put that same fish in the ocean, and suddenly it can grow beyond what anyone imagined. The only thing that changed was the size of its surroundings. Some of you have been stuck in small places, not because that's all you're capable of, but because fear has convinced you that's all you deserve. Fear will tell you, don't start that business. You might fail. Don't apply for that job. You might get rejected. Don't step into that new opportunity. You might not be good enough. And so you stay where you are, not because you love it, but because at least it's familiar. But just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's where you are meant to stay. Imagine a person who is afraid of leaving their house. They convince themselves that staying inside is safer. No risks, no dangers, no unknown challenges. But what happens? They miss out on everything life has to offer. The sun, the fresh air, the adventures, the new experiences. They trade all of it for an illusion of safety. And that's what many people do with their dreams. They lock themselves in the house of fear and convince themselves that staying put is the right choice, when in reality, they are missing out on everything they were created to experience. Fear is a comfort zone's best friend. It whispers in your ear, just stay where you are. Why rock the boat? But let me tell you something. Nobody who changed the world ever stayed in their comfort zone. Every great leader, every innovator, every successful person had to make a decision. Will I let fear keep me here, or will I step into the unknown? Look at an eagle. When it's time for a baby eagle to fly, the mother does something strange. She starts removing the soft feathers from the nest, making it uncomfortable. Why? Because she knows if the nest stays too comfortable, the baby will never want to leave. The mother knows that the eagle was born to fly. But if it stays in the nest, it will never discover its true potential. Some of you have been feeling uncomfortable lately, like life is pushing you out of the nest. That's not a mistake. That's not bad luck. That's your destiny calling you higher. Think about a butterfly. Before it can fly, it must struggle inside the cocoon. The process of breaking free is difficult. But if you were to cut the cocoon open too soon, the butterfly's wings wouldn't be strong enough to fly. It is the struggle that prepares it for the skies. Some of you are in the cocoon right now. It feels tight. It feels uncomfortable. But that's because you're about to emerge stronger than ever before. Fear will convince you that struggle means stop. That resistance means retreat. That discomfort means danger. But nothing great ever comes without challenge. A diamond is only formed under pressure. Gold is only purified in fire. Strong muscles are only built through resistance. So, if life is stretching you, if it feels like you're being pushed out of your comfort zone, don't run from it. Embrace it. Because it means you're about to break through into something greater. Imagine a runner in a race. Halfway through, they start to feel exhausted. Their legs are burning. Their breath is short. Fear tells them, stop now. You've done enough. Just settle. But the best runners don't listen to that voice. They push through. They keep going. And just when they think they can't take another step, they find a second wind. That last stretch, the hardest part of the race, is where champions are made. Some of you are at the halfway point of your journey. You feel tired. You feel like giving up. You hear fear whispering, just settle. But I'm here to tell you, you're closer than you think. The finish line is ahead. The breakthrough is near. The reward is just beyond your last push. Don't let fear make you stop when you're so close to stepping into everything you were created for. Fear will always offer you an easy way out. It will always give you reasons to quit, excuses to stay where you are, justifications for playing small. But deep down, you know that you were not born to live an average life. You know that you were not created to settle for mediocrity. You know that there is something greater inside of you, waiting to be unleashed. Imagine you are holding a balloon filled with helium. If you let go, it will rise, soaring higher and higher. But what if you tied a weight to it? It would stay grounded, unable to fulfill its potential. That weight is fear. And as long as you hold on to it, you will never rise. Some of you have been carrying that weight for too long. Fear has convinced you to settle for less than what you deserve. It has kept you in places you have outgrown. It has convinced you that you are not capable, not qualified, not ready. But the moment you decide to cut that weight loose, everything changes. The moment you let go of fear, you start to rise. The moment you refuse to settle, new doors open. The moment you step out in faith, opportunities start to appear. The question is, Will you let fear keep you in a life that is less than what you were meant for? Or will you break free and rise into everything you were created to be? Faith is the currency of the future. Faith is the currency of the future. It is the invisible force that turns dreams into reality. The bridge that connects where you are to where you are meant to be. Fear will tell you that you need to see it before you believe it. But faith says, believe it and you will see it. Every great achievement in history began as a thought, a vision, an unseen reality that only became tangible because someone had the faith to pursue it. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. He does not dig up the soil every day to check if the roots are growing. He does not stand over the ground demanding to see results immediately. Instead, he plants, waters, and waits, knowing that in time, the seeds will sprout. That is faith. Acting on the belief that what you cannot yet see is still coming. Some of you have planted seeds of effort, of dreams, of hard work, but because you don't see instant results, you are tempted to walk away. But just because you don't see it yet doesn't mean it's not growing. Some of the greatest breakthroughs happen beneath the surface, long before they appear in your life. Think about a bridge. When you're standing on one side, you may not see what's waiting on the other end. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. When you start walking one step at a time, the other side comes into view. That's how faith works. You don't have to see the whole future. You just have to take the next step. Too many people stand at the beginning of their dreams, waiting to see the entire journey before they move. But life doesn't work that way. If you wait until you have all the answers, all the resources, all the signs, you will never start. The future belongs to those who step out before they see the full picture. A child learning to walk does not wait for proof that they won't fall. They don't analyze all the possible failures before taking their first step. They simply trust that they were meant to walk. And so they do. That is faith. Moving even when you don't have all the details, trusting that you are built to succeed. But somewhere along the way, as we grow older, we lose that childlike faith. We hesitate. We second guess. We let fear talk us out of moving forward. But if a child refused to walk until they were certain they wouldn't fall, they would never learn. Some of you are waiting for life to give you guarantees, but life doesn't work that way. The guarantee is in the stepping. The moment you move, things start aligning. A person who wants to swim but never gets in the water will never learn. They can watch videos, read books, ask for advice, but until they step into the water, they will never experience what it feels like to float. Faith is not about gathering all the information. It is about taking action, even when you don't have all the answers. There are people who wait their whole lives for the perfect time. And in doing so, they miss every opportunity that comes their way. But the truth is, there is no perfect time. There is only now. Imagine a musician who has never played in front of an audience. They might say, I'll perform once I'm confident. But confidence does not come before the action. It comes because of it. You don't become a great speaker by waiting until you are fearless. You don't become a successful entrepreneur by waiting until you have zero doubts. You don't become a leader by waiting until you are fully prepared. Faith is stepping into the unknown, knowing that everything you need will appear along the way. A person standing at the edge of a diving board has two choices. They can step back and stay in their comfort zone, or they can jump and experience something new. The future is always calling, always inviting, always waiting. But only those with faith will answer the call. The greatest opportunities will not come with full explanations, and they will not come with guarantees. They will come with a question: will you trust? Think about a lamp. It doesn't light up the entire road. It only shines a few steps ahead. But as you keep moving forward, more of the path is revealed. Some of you are waiting for the entire road to be visible before you move. But faith does not work that way. You must start walking, and only then will the next steps be shown to you. A plane taking off into the clouds does not stop because the sky looks unclear. The pilot trusts the instruments, trusts the navigation, trusts that even though they cannot see what's ahead, the destination exists. Life works the same way. You may not always see how things will unfold, but that doesn't mean they won't. The people who succeed are not the ones who wait for perfect conditions. They are the ones who move forward, even when things are uncertain. When you look at a blueprint of a building, you see a design on paper. The actual structure doesn't exist yet, but the vision does. The builders trust the blueprint, and step by step, brick by brick, they construct something that was once invisible. That's how dreams work. You must have the faith to build what you cannot yet see. If you only believe in what is already visible, you will never create anything new. The most successful people in the world saw something before anyone else did. They moved when others hesitated. They built when others doubted. They had faith in something greater than their fears. Look at a trapeze artist. They let go of one bar before grabbing the next. For a moment, they are in midair, no safety net, no guarantees. But if they never let go, they can never move forward. Some of you are holding on to what's familiar, afraid to release it, afraid of the unknown. But you cannot move into the future while clinging to the past. You must have the faith to let go, knowing that something greater is waiting to catch you. The people who change the world are not the ones who have no fear. They are the ones who have faith that is greater than their fear. They step out even when they don't have all the answers. They take risks even when they don't see the whole picture. They trust that what is ahead is greater than what they are leaving behind. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not intelligence, not talent, not luck. It is faith. The faith to believe, the faith to move, the faith to step into the unknown, trusting that everything they need will be there when they arrive. The enemy uses fear to distract you. Fear is the enemy's greatest weapon against your destiny. It does not come dressed as an obvious enemy, shouting in your face, demanding you stop. No, fear is more subtle. It whispers doubts in the quiet moments. It plants seeds of hesitation in your mind. It disguises itself as logic, as reason, as being careful. But make no mistake, fear is not here to protect you. It is here to paralyze you. Imagine a lion hunting its prey. The lion does not immediately chase. First, it roars. The sound alone is enough to send some animals running in the wrong direction, straight into danger. That is exactly how fear works. It roars loudly in your life, making you react without thinking, causing you to run in circles instead of moving forward. The enemy does not need to stop you completely. He only needs to distract you long enough for you to stop yourself. Look at a tightrope walker. They balance on a thin rope, suspended in the air. If they focus straight ahead, they will walk across safely. But if they look down, fear will grip them. Their knees will shake. Their mind will start racing with worst case scenarios. And in that moment, they will fall. Not because they are incapable, but because fear stole their focus. This is exactly what happens in life. When you focus on where you are going, you move forward. But the moment fear makes you focus on everything that could go wrong, you stumble. Think about a driver on a long road trip. The goal is clear, to reach the destination. But what happens if they stop at every distraction along the way? Every detour, every unnecessary pit stop, every meaningless distraction. They will waste time, lose focus, and might never reach their goal. Fear is like those distractions. It keeps you stopping, hesitating, questioning, overthinking, until you forget why you started in the first place. Have you ever seen a dog tied to a leash? At first, it tries to run. It pulls, it tugs, it resists. But after a while, it accepts the leash as normal. Even if you remove it, sometimes the dog will not run because it has been conditioned to believe that it is still bound. That is how fear works. It convinces you that you are stuck, even when you are free. It tells you that you cannot go beyond where you are, even when there is nothing holding you back. Fear will show you every reason why you should give up. It will highlight every past failure, every time things didn't work out, every moment of struggle. It wants you to believe that your past determines your future. But let me tell you something. Your past is just a chapter, not the whole book. The enemy uses fear because he knows that if you ever realize who you truly are, if you ever see the strength inside you, if you ever take that first bold step forward, nothing will be able to stop you. Think about a prisoner who has been locked up for years. One day, the guard forgets to lock the cell door. But the prisoner stays inside because they have been conditioned to believe they have no freedom. That is how fear works. It locks you in a mental prison, even when the door is wide open. It makes you believe that you cannot succeed, that you are not enough, that you will fail if you try. But the only way to break free is to step out, to move forward despite the fear, to refuse to let fear dictate your future. A person drowning in water does not sink because they are in the water. They sink because they stop moving. As long as they keep pushing, keep swimming, they stay afloat. Fear is like deep water. It surrounds you, tries to overwhelm you. But the only way it wins is if you stop moving. The moment you keep going, keep pushing forward, keep believing, fear loses its power. A candle in the dark does not eliminate fear by fighting it. It eliminates fear by shining. The moment the light appears, darkness disappears. You don't fight fear by arguing with it, by negotiating with it, by analyzing it. You defeat fear by moving forward, by taking action, by stepping out. The moment you act in faith, fear has no choice but to flee. Think about a student preparing for an exam. They have studied, they have done their part. But as they sit down to take the test, fear creeps in. What if I fail? What if I forget everything? That fear is not based on reality. It is based on what ifs. It is based on possibilities that have not even happened. And yet, many people let those what ifs control their entire lives. They don't start the business because what if it fails? They don't go after their dreams because what if it doesn't work out? But what if it does? What if this time is different? What if success is waiting on the other side of your fear? A ship is safest when it is docked at the harbor, but that is not what ships were built for. A plane is safest when it is on the ground, but that is not what planes were designed for. You were not created to stay in one place, to hide from challenges, to avoid risks. You were created to rise, to soar, to reach new heights. But fear will keep you tied to the ground unless you decide to break free. Fear is a thief. It steals time, opportunities, dreams, and potential. It makes you spend years overthinking, years hesitating, Years holding back when you could have been building, creating, and succeeding. Some people spend their entire lives running from fear, never realizing that if they had faced it head on, they would have found strength they never knew they had. A person lost in a fog might think the road has disappeared, but the road is still there. The fog is just temporary. Fear is the same way. It makes the path ahead seem invisible, but the path has not disappeared. If you keep walking, if you keep pushing, if you refuse to stop, the fog will lift. And when it does, you will see that everything you needed was always there, waiting for you to believe, waiting for you to move, waiting for you to step into what was meant for you all along. Closed doors are not dead ends. A closed door is not a dead end. It is a redirection. Too many people see a closed door and assume their journey is over. They throw their hands up in frustration, believing that life has denied them their chance. But what if the closed door is not rejection but protection? What if that opportunity you wanted so desperately was never meant for you because something greater is ahead? The problem is that most people give up the door instead of knocking harder or searching for another way in. But let me tell you something. Closed doors are not the end of your story. They are often the beginning of something better. Imagine a child trying to enter a room, but the door is locked. They tug at the handle, knock loudly, and when no one answers, they start crying, believing they are stuck. But what they don't realize is that just around the corner, another door is wide open. If they stop focusing on what is closed and started looking for what is open, they would see that their journey is not over. It has simply shifted. That is exactly what happens in life. Some of you have been banging on the same door for years, getting frustrated because it won't open. But maybe that door is closed because it was never meant for you. Maybe there is another door waiting, but you are too focused on what didn't work out to see it. Think about a person who loses a job. At that moment, it feels like the end of everything. Fear grips them, uncertainty clouds their vision, and they feel like their future has been taken away. But what if that job loss is not a setback, but a setup? What if the closed door is an invitation to something greater? So many successful people only found their true calling after a door was slammed in their face. They didn't get accepted into the school they wanted. They didn't get the promotion they expected. They didn't get the approval they were hoping for. But instead of giving up, they kept moving, and that rejection led them to their real purpose. A person boarding a plane does not cry if their flight is delayed. Why? Because they know the destination still exists. Just because you are not taking off when you expect it does not mean you will never arrive. Some of you feel like life has delayed you. You had a timeline, a plan, a schedule, but things did not go the way you expected. And now you are sitting in frustration, wondering if you will ever get there. Just because your journey is delayed does not mean your destination is canceled. The key is to stay prepared so that when your moment comes, you are ready to step into it. Have you ever walked into a store and found that an item you wanted was out of stock? In that moment, you might feel disappointed. But what if that same item is available in another store just a few minutes away? What if a better version is being delivered tomorrow? But too many people stop at the first disappointment. They assume that just because something is unavailable now, it will always be unavailable. But that is not how life works. Closed doors are often temporary. What is not available today might be waiting for you tomorrow. What didn't work out in one place might flourish in another. But if you stop looking, if you stop believing, you will never find out. A person running a race does not stop just because one path is blocked. They find another way. They go around, they climb over, they push through. Life is the same way. If one path closes, that does not mean the race is over. It simply means you need to adjust your route. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history came from people who refused to stop just because they faced an obstacle. They saw the closed door, but instead of giving up, they looked for a window, a side entrance, a different road. They didn't let one know define their destiny. Imagine a gold miner digging in the ground. They dig for weeks, for months, and then just 3 feet away from striking gold, they give up because they assume there is nothing there. But what if they had just kept going a little longer? Some of you are 3 feet away from your breakthrough. You have been putting in the effort. You have been knocking on doors. You have been working hard. But because you don't see results yet, you are tempted to quit. But what if your success is just beyond the next challenge? What if the breakthrough is waiting just past this moment of frustration? The only way to find out is to keep moving forward. A person trying to solve a puzzle does not throw the entire puzzle away just because one piece doesn't seem to fit. They keep searching until they find the right piece. Life works the same way. Just because something isn't working now doesn't mean the whole plan is wrong. Sometimes you just need to adjust, to shift, to look at things from a different angle. The problem is not always that the opportunity doesn't exist. The problem is that you are looking in the wrong place. A locked door in a building does not mean the building is empty. Just because one way is blocked does not mean there aren't other ways to get inside. Some of you have been knocking on the wrong door for too long. You have been trying to force something that was never meant for you. But what if there is a better way in? What if there is an open door, but you are too focused on the locked one to see it? A plant growing in the shade might struggle, but if it is moved into the sunlight, it flourishes. Some of you have been planted in the wrong place. You have been trying to grow in an environment that is not meant for you. But instead of questioning your ability, question your location. Maybe the closed door is not failure. It is a sign that you need to move to a place where you can truly thrive. A person driving a car does not get angry when the GPS says rerouting. They don't throw the car away just because they missed a turn. They simply adjust, take a new road, and keep going. Life is the same way. A closed door does not mean the journey is over. It means it's time to find another way. The key is to stay focused on where you are going and not get discouraged by temporary obstacles. God's plan is always greater. A child playing with a small toy car may cry when it is taken away, unaware that their parent is about to give them a real bicycle. They think they have lost something valuable, but in reality, something greater is on the way. This is how life works. Sometimes, what you are holding on to is far less than what is meant for you. But because you cannot see the future, you resist letting go. You cry over what is lost, not realizing that something bigger, something better is being prepared for you. Think about a person who gets rejected from a job they really wanted. In that moment, they feel like a failure. They believe they have missed their opportunity. But what if that rejection was not a punishment, but protection? What if that job was going to limit them, hold them back, keep them from growing into their full potential? And what if just a few weeks later, a better job, one with greater opportunities and a higher salary, is waiting for them? But too many people get stuck in their disappointment. They focus on what did not work out instead of believing that something greater is coming. Imagine a farmer planting seeds in the ground. He waters them, he nurtures them, but for weeks he sees nothing. If he did not understand how growth works, he might think that his efforts were wasted. But the truth is, the seed is growing beneath the surface, even though he cannot see it. This is exactly what happens in life. Just because you do not see progress does not mean nothing is happening. Some of you have been working hard, praying, pushing forward. But because you do not see immediate results, you think nothing is changing. But underground, things are shifting. Doors are being prepared. Opportunities are aligning. Just because you cannot see it yet does not mean it is not happening. A person in a dark room may think there is no way out, but if they simply reach out and feel the walls, they will find the door. Sometimes life feels like darkness. You cannot see what is next. You cannot predict how things will work out. And in those moments, fear tries to convince you that you are trapped. But you are not. The way out exists. The solution exists. The breakthrough exists. The problem is not the absence of a way forward. The problem is your belief that you are stuck. The moment you start moving, the moment you start searching, the moment you start believing again, the door appears. A person stuck in traffic does not abandon their car and start walking. Why? Because they know the road will clear eventually. Some of you are frustrated because life feels like a delay. You feel like you should be further along, like you should have accomplished more by now. But let me tell you something. Delays do not mean denial. Just because it is taking longer than expected does not mean it is not going to happen. Your journey has not been canceled. It is simply moving at a different pace than you anticipated. Have you ever seen a butterfly struggling to break free from its cocoon? It pushes, it fights, it strains. And if you try to help it by cutting the cocoon open, you will actually weaken it. Why? Because the struggle is what gives its wings strength. The butterfly needs to go through the process in order to fly. Some of you are in a season of struggle, wondering why things are so difficult. But what if this process is strengthening you for what is ahead? What if the challenge is not meant to break you, but to prepare you? You may not see it now, but every difficulty, every delay, every setback is shaping you into the person you need to be for the future that is waiting for you. A person in a maze may feel lost, but if they could rise above and see the bigger picture, they would realize they are only a few turns away from the exit right now. You may not understand why things are happening the way they are. You may not see how everything is connected. But if you could see the full picture, if you could see the doors that are about to open, if you could see the opportunities that are aligning, you would not be worried. You would not be anxious. You would not be afraid, because you would realize that everything is happening exactly as it should. Think about a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone. Every strike, every cut, every removal of unnecessary pieces is bringing the masterpiece closer to completion. But if the stone could feel, it might complain about the pain, about the loss, about the breaking away. It would not understand that the process is necessary to reveal its true beauty. Some of you feel like life is breaking you, like too much is being taken away. But what if this is not destruction? What if this is refinement? What if everything you are going through is shaping you into something greater than you could have imagined? A pilot flying through a storm does not turn around. Why? Because they know that if they keep going, They will eventually fly above the clouds, where the sun is still shining. Some of you are in the middle of a storm, and fear is telling you to give up. But what if you are just a few miles away from breaking through? What if you are right at the edge of your breakthrough, and all you need to do is keep going? A child who is learning to walk will fall many times. But do they stop trying? No. They get up again and again because they do not see failure as final. Somewhere along the way, as adults, we lose that mindset. We experience one setback and assume that means we are not meant to succeed. But failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. Every failure teaches. Every mistake refines. Every setback prepares. If you are still trying, you are still in the game. And if you are still in the game, victory is still possible. A person trying to climb a mountain may feel exhausted, but if they keep pushing, if they keep moving, they will eventually reach the top. And once they stand at the peak, they will realize that the struggle was worth it, that every difficult step brought them closer to an incredible view. Some of you are climbing right now, facing obstacles, feeling tired, wondering if it is worth it. But the view from the top is coming. The reward is ahead. You just have to keep climbing. Life is not a straight path. It is a journey filled with twists, turns, detours, and delays. But let me tell you something. Detours do not mean defeat. Delays do not mean denial. And a setback is nothing but a setup for something greater. You may not understand it now, but every challenge you are facing is shaping you, refining you, preparing you for what is ahead. You cannot climb a mountain by looking at it. You cannot reach your destination by standing still. You cannot break free by giving up. The only way forward is to move. The only way to win is to fight. The only way to step into the future that was meant for you is to refuse to let fear, doubt, and disappointment stop you. I know there are moments when life feels unfair. Moments when you look at your struggles and wonder why it had to be you. But listen to me. The greatest warriors are forged in the hottest fires. Diamonds are created under pressure. Gold is refined in the furnace. Strength is not built in comfort. If life has been testing you, it is because something powerful is waiting on the other side. The most successful people in history did not have easy journeys. They were rejected, doubted, underestimated, and overlooked. But instead of giving up, they turned their pain into power, their failures into fuel. They refused to let temporary defeats define their future victories. The question is not whether you will face challenges. The question is, what will you do when they come? Will you break or will you rise? Will you surrender or will you fight back? Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine if he had let that one rejection define him. Imagine if he had believed the lie that he wasn't good enough. But instead of quitting, he trained harder. Instead of accepting defeat, he turned his setback into motivation. And today, the world knows his name, J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before one finally took a chance on her book. Imagine if she had given up after the first rejection. Imagine if she had let the opinions of a few people determine her future. But she didn't. She kept going. She believed in her vision. And today, her books have sold over 500 million copies. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Can you imagine? One of the most influential figures in media was once told she would never make it. But she refused to let someone else's opinion define her destiny. She knew her worth. She knew her potential. And she kept pushing forward. Every single person who has ever achieved greatness had a moment when they could have given up. A moment when fear whispered, It's over. A moment when doubt screamed, "You'll never make it." But they chose to keep going. And that is why they succeeded. And now I ask you, what will you do? When life knocks you down, will you stay down or will you rise? When the door closes, will you walk away or will you find another way in? When the storm rages, will you let it break you? Or will you keep flying, knowing that the sun is still shining above the clouds? Some of you are standing at the edge of a breakthrough, but fear is holding you back. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But listen to me, fear is a liar. Fear will tell you that you can't, when in reality you can. Fear will make you believe the worst, when in reality, your best days are ahead of you. Les Brown once said, "You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great." The journey to success does not begin with perfection. It begins with a decision. A decision to keep going. A decision to believe in yourself. A decision to push through even when everything in you wants to give up. Will Smith once said, "The only thing that's keeping you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself." What story are you telling yourself? That you're not good enough. That it's too late. That you'll never make it. Change the story. Rewrite the script. Tell yourself the truth. You are powerful, you are capable, and you are destined for something greater. Denzel Washington once said, "Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship." Do not fear challenges. Do not fear struggle. Do not fear failure. Fear staying the same. Fear never trying. Fear looking back on your life with regret, knowing you had more to give, but you let fear hold you back. Steve Jobs once said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." Right now, you may not see how everything is coming together. But one day you will look back and realize that every struggle, every setback, every delay was leading you to exactly where you were meant to be. So keep moving, keep pushing, keep believing. The doors that are meant to open for you will open. The opportunities that are meant for you will find you. The future that was designed for you is waiting. And when you get there, when you finally step into the greatness that is meant for you, you will look back and realize that every challenge, every disappointment, every difficult moment was worth it.